Hello, welcome to the Villa View. It's time for a post-match pint in association with Purity Ale as Aston Villa triumphed against Newcastle yesterday. A great day at Villa Park, 3-0. As I say, this show is sponsored by Purity, so if you want to get 10% off everything they have to offer, then use the code #VillaView and you'll get 10% off all their lovely goods, including all the Villa stuff that they do. Neil, I've still not come down really from yesterday. Probably, and this isn't recency bias or anything like that, probably one of the best days I've ever had at Villa Park. Probably one of the best performances I've ever seen at Villa Park. Not trying to rub it in because you were there the week before and the game wasn't brilliant, even though they won. And to be fair, even if you'd have gone, you'd have drank so much you wouldn't have remembered the game anyway. But it was just, honestly, we are really onto something special here with this manager. Words cannot describe what Unai Emery has done for Aston Villa Football Club in such a short space of time, and I am here for every single second of it. Just what a win. From the first 30 seconds, you knew Aston Villa meant serious business, and they're playing a club now that have been one of the best teams in the Premier League this season, riding high in third, probably still going to get Champions League football, I would say. But Villa ripped them to shreds and just fully deserved the victory.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to start off on something first here. As most of you, if any of you watch my channel, know I'm not in the game of football to have fake or false or conflated rivalries with other teams. There was a lot said by Newcastle fans about Villa and vice versa. I'm not going to say that wasn't the case. And it seemed very kind of forced kind of rivalry, dating back to, what was it, 2007, when the Sob and the Tyne bed sheet was rolled out. But
I'm on that picture. It's
are
really
you?
strange. The guy that put that banner out whenever it was they went down. Me and my dad are on that picture, and some strange clapping technique going on from me at that time as well. If you look at the photo, I don't know why I'm clapping because obviously we got 17 points, but yeah, I'm on that photo. I think most fans have probably forgotten about it, but by now the Villa fans, I don't think we're ever bothered by it anyway. I think there's probably there's a small minority of Newcastle fans that still speak about it. I know you had some issues on your channel, but I've got to say there was absolutely nothing on the Villa
Yeah,
view. I think most Newcastle fans would say Villa deserved to win yesterday.
yeah, and that's exactly where I was getting at. Is that look? I was going to come on and do the smug face thing, but I wanted to put that caveat out there first. Is that while I'm not here to create a false rivalry, I didn't do it with Leeds either. I just wasn't here for that. I am going to be unashamedly, massively positive, enthusiastic, happy, and I'm going to talk in a hyperbolic way about a lot of players today, because that game, as you said, Dan, you said that was one of the best games you've seen in recent memory. The control, the composure, I suppose the cohesion, the tactical nous that was shown both from the sideline and from the players, being able to change it around. John McGinn, I thought in particular, when I watched it back today, was just outstanding tactically, the way that he closed down space. But for me, that it was just huge. It was a really, really big game, and I got to watch it. My dad was up, and I got to watch it with him. Like, literally, our jaws were on the floor after the first 15 minutes. We were like, this is a signal game because it's against a big team, riding high in the league, and it certainly wasn't anything to do with luck. Yesterday, it was a well put out team. It was a well drilled team. I thought at times we had to play a small bit against the referee as well. I know Newcastle fans have watched a couple of things who said that we were flip flopping all over the place. Look, I suppose really the game is the game, but look, it's not, the referee had nothing to do with us winning 3-0 yesterday, but he had something to do with us not winning 4 or 5. That's the way I've had to put it.
I mean, I didn't have a problem with the ref yesterday. I'm unsure what the Newcastle side of things would have a problem anyway. I think they were well beaten. I think it could have been more. We probably took them by surprise. I think if I'm saying it's the most complete performance I've ever seen by Villa. I think that's probably true. Obviously none of us were at that 7-2 Liverpool game. It was during lockdown. But that was a one-off freak game that, that kind of thing is not sustainable. It's not going to carry on. What you saw yesterday was Aston Villa just being in complete control of a football match against a really strong side, and it is sustainable. What we are doing is sustainable under this manager. It is just absolutely incredible what he has done. And Alan Shearer's tweet, I think summed it up after the game, saying Villa deserve to win. Sometimes I don't think Newcastle were off. I think they just couldn't. They just could not live with us. I think we took them by surprise. I thought this might be a little bit cagey first 10, 15 minutes. Two sides that press well. We'll maybe want to feel each other out, maybe not go gung-ho. 30 seconds, you just thought, Villa are here to make no friends. Villa are here to win this football match, and they won't settle for anything less than 3 points. Ollie Watkins going through on goal in the first 30 seconds and so unlucky to hit the post. He could have had 4 or 5 yesterday. On another day, Ollie Watkins, he still walks away with 2 and another stupendous performance from him. But we were just so good, Neil. The crowd were feeding off the players.
Fantastic.
The players are feeding off the fans. The manager's an absolute genius. Even I saw Gareth Southgate smiling in the background, knowing that he might have to pick a couple of Aston Villa players now. And just to a man, every single Aston Villa player was absolutely brilliant, Neil. I can't fault any of them. There was no player that was below a 7 or 8 out of 10 in that game. They could not live with us.
I absolutely agree. I agree with everything you said there. And also, what I loved about that performance was the fact that we didn't show any fear. We hammered their hammer. That's the phrase. That's a phrase that I heard recently, and I really like it because we went for their strength. Their strength was their defense, the best defense in the league.
I think they only conceded 20, was it, before yesterday?
Yeah, and one of their biggest strengths in defence was the fact that they were able to keep it compact, keep it tight, while allowing Kieran Trippier to maraud up and down that right hand side. Who was the first player we went after? Trippier, time and time again. Moreno hit him. Jacob Ramsey hit him with runs at him or playing balls around the back of him, trying to drag Schär out to one side, trying to keep Botman isolated inside. Botman's a fine defender. He really is. And Fabian Schär is a good defender as well. Two good defenders.
As a unit, they're a very good back line, and they have been all season, including the goalkeeper.
Exactly. And obviously the reason that Dan Burn has played there is kind of like Aston Villa. It allows them to go to a kind of a tight three at the back. We kept Dan Burn wide. He'll be seeing John McGinn and he's sleep afterwards.
McGinn again anytime soon.
No way, no, because they had a fair royal battle out there as well. But that's what we did. We stretched their defence wing to wing. We went straight at Trippier, which was a ballsy move, I will say, to make, because he's been quite good. He's been really good. What am I saying? He's been quite good. He's been really good since he's joined Newcastle. And we made him turn on his back foot more times than he was able to get forward. And that's where all our good attacks came from. And only for Ollie Watkins getting 2 goals. And he played brilliantly, don't get me wrong. He was definitely a 10 out of 10 for me. Alex Moreno was our catalyst an awful lot on that left-hand side. And, he really came up trumps in this game. And what a signing he's been. Oh. So the tactical nous of Emery to be able to stretch that, to stop them being able to go compact in defence when Trippier went forward, and still having that extra runner. You've mentioned it a couple of times before, Dan. The space this midfield creates is fantastic. And while the likes of Buendia and Jacob Ramsey can sometimes have their off days, I definitely think that they were both right on it. Their movement played a real big part, and it allowed McGinn to stay wide right, and it allowed Ollie Watkins to occupy the centre half that was left in the middle, whether it be Schär or whether it be Botman, and he did it absolutely brilliant. It was a really complete number 9 performance from him. And also the guys that played behind him as well just dragged everybody left, right, and centre. So well done, Unai Emery. You showed your stripes for sure in that game at the weekend.
I mean, at times I actually cannot believe what I'm watching when I think back to the start of the season and we're just going nowhere when we've got the football just look completely toothless, and we'll probably concede at some point. Go from that to what I am watching now at Villa Park is just absolutely mind-boggling. And you think of some of the growing pains that we went through with the playing out from the back, and some people not being sure about it, the odd groan here and there from the whole 10. Every single little bit of growing pains that we had to go, or the team had to go through at that time, it's completely worth it now, because we're some side. Our best central midfield players not been in the team for weeks, yet somehow we've managed to be better. Leander Dendoncker hasn't played for months. He comes in yesterday, and this sums it up for me. How good Emery tactically must be, and how good he must be at passing over instructions, which in his second language, by the way, is absolutely unbelievable, that the messages he must get across to the players. For someone to come in who hasn't played for months and know exactly what he's got to do, exactly where he's got to be for every minute of the game, and execute his role to perfection, which I would say Dendoncker and everyone else on the pitch did yesterday. That's not normal. That isn't normal that a player can come in after not playing for months and just look like he plays in there every single week. But that's what happens. People are playing in different roles. McGinn game to game, probably in the last 3 or 4 weeks, has probably played in 2 or 3 different positions. Jacob Ramsey, probably the same. But what the manager, how he must work, must be absolutely incredible, especially compared to what's gone before. The players must be living in a completely different world at the moment. And you mentioned Moreno. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say it's been quite a transformative signing, because I wouldn't have
Mm.
said that we particularly needed a left back. When we signed him, I was a little bit like, they're not bigger areas that need addressing than left back. But Emery obviously identified him as someone that was going to come in and just play such a pivotal and crucial and key role for the side. Just shows you how much Unai Emery knows. I tweeted yesterday, I want to be able to see and understand football the same way Unai Emery does, because I can't get my head around what I'm seeing from Aston Villa. We've had good sides before, but we've never had something that feels as sustainable as this. If we can keep hold of Unai Emery for the next 4, 5, 6 years, anything can happen, because he's that good a manager. I was reading something this morning. I don't think I realised how big of an achievement it was for Villarreal to win a European competition.
Yeah.
But he did that. I don't think I realised the size of that until I can't even remember what it was that I read this morning. I read so much about Unai Emery nowadays. It's getting beyond a joke. I'm dreaming about him at night at the moment. But he just sees football in such a unique way, and it transmits into his side. There's something really special building there, and I've been known to get excited in the past, but I don't think I've ever felt like this. I'm hauling my dad up when we score yesterday. He could barely get up in time to see the goals go in. Nowadays, literally when we score in the atmosphere in the crowd, I'm literally having to haul my dad up when we score, so he sees the goals and gets to join in the celebrations. But I feel empowered at Villa Park, and the players must feel like that as well.
Yeah, like as you say, the fans really kind of encapsulated there was a carnival feel after 28 seconds, hit the post, which till the day I go into the grave, I think that he did really well to even hit the post there to get his shot away.
He did well to get away from the defender.
He did really well to get it. And Nick Pope's positioning is super, absolutely super in the goals there. But anyway, we won't get dragged down into a battle on that one with because I know the people will think that he should have scored there, and that's fine.
Nah, that's a tough chance. That
I was just laughing there. You might have noticed that I might have looked distracted there, and you mentioned about Alex Moreno coming into the team, and I went, wait a minute, did Emery sell Luca Dean at PSG? And that's what I was Googling there, because, I would have been in the same opinion as you. Didn't really think we needed a massive pressing upgrade at left back.
Did he sell Luca Dean at
Unai Emery signed for PSG on the 28th of June, 2016.
You mean Luca Dean signed? Oh, sorry, no, you didn't.
No.
I apologize.
And Luca Dean was shipped out on the 13th of July,
really?
2016.
You can't think that Emery would have. You can't think that Emery would have known about. That would have been his decision that soon into the.
I know. But it's something that I just wanted to see. But getting back to the fans as well. After 28 seconds, the fans were like, that's exactly what we would have wanted to happen. Really rose the fans. After 11 minutes, we scored that goal. Jacob Ramsey. I still to this day think that when one of your own scores a goal early on against one of the big teams, the crowd are going to roar that bit more for a bit longer. And I think that they did. They were fantastic again. Obviously, Ollie Watkins then comes in the second half. And Ollie had a couple of chances, actually, that Nick Pope got down to pretty well.
Yeah, size with his legs, Pope.
Yeah, I think so too. And then, after that, we needed the team needed the fans in the second half, because it needed to be a huge second half. And by God, they showed up as well. 3-0 win is as much down to the brilliant atmosphere. Even John McGinn said it afterwards. He said, it's been, a long time. There was times in the championship where the atmosphere was in Villa Park. He was delighted to hear it. And, I think that, as you said, there is something special brewing here. And, there's a couple of weeks ago, we were wondering when were we going to get out of 11th place. Now we really are looking up that table, and it's in our hands. Yes, we have to beat some good teams. We have to beat some teams above us. We have to beat some teams around us, and we have to continue this great run going. But Unai Emery has only lost to Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, and then the absolute outlier being losing to Leicester. That's phenomenal. That is a phenomenal run in the games that he's had. So who's to say we don't go and get points from our rivals around there and stay ahead of maybe a Liverpool or a Brentford or a Fulham have kind of dropped back a small bit there. But, it's a case of what I'm not going to say, I'm expecting it to happen. You always go into these games without having to cross your fingers anymore, and you always have a fighter's chance. Here
Yeah.
comes the fixtures.
I mean, yeah, no one scares me anymore. I mean, there's a high possibility we will lose one of those games.
Yeah,
But you don't look at any of those games and think we've got no chance there. Like we were at the start of the season, we were just thinking, I know we're going to lose that game. I know we're going to get 0 points. We're going to come away with absolutely nothing there, particularly away games. But you look at every game at the moment, you just fancy us. Man City and Villa, the two form teams in the league now, and
mm,
Haaland and Watkins. And Watkins is outscoring Haaland, which is absolutely crazy considering he's playing for Aston Villa and Haaland's playing for Manchester City, gunning for the Premier League title. And if he's not scoring, which he is every week at the moment, he's chipping in with assists as well.
yeah,
That's assist yesterday for Ramsey. He's got players around him. It's a nice little ball into the box for McGinn. McGinn knows exactly what he's doing there. But it's not a ball really that Watkins has any right to do anything with.
yeah.
He picks the best option and manages to perfectly cushion a header back to Ramsey.
Superb.
That is not easy, and it's a great finish from Jacob Ramsey on his left foot. And Villa Park absolutely erupts at that point. But I think we didn't stop there. You score, we go again. It's absolutely frightening how good we are, and even the passing and the build-up in the lead up to every attack. It was just absolutely scintillating yesterday. The movement, the way the wide players come inside and create this little box. People pull wide. Moreno's always an outlet on the left. Martinez was pinging balls around right foot, left foot. Yesterday, his distribution was first class yesterday. The defenders are doing, Mings and Konsa, unbelievable partnership at the moment, both going forwards and defending. I'm just, every single player yesterday, like I've said, above a 7 or 8 out of 10. We could go through every player that played yesterday now and speak about them, and you could arguably say that any of them could have probably been man of the match. We could do that.
I think I saw, was it on Sky Sports app? I think I saw the ratings, and nearly everyone just got a 7 in it, which I thought was a bit harsh because obviously Ollie Watkins got a 9 in it, I think, actually, but everybody got a 7. But I agree with you. Like, it was a team performance, and if you've seen Villa play this season, it's been very much a team performance. But this is a dominant possession-based performance whereby literally from minute one, we were on the front foot and we never let the accelerator let off the accelerator. And Adam showed up the remaining fixtures that we had there. We were talking about, obviously, we feel like we can go into any game and win them. We've Brentford on the horizon. Brentford at home are a different animal to Brentford away, I think. But Brentford lost 2-0 to Wolves the weekend. A result there once again keeps them behind us, keeps us looking forward. Fulham then hot in the heels of that. Obviously, they beat Everton, but they're going to be without Mitrovic and, playing Fulham again. And then we get into the Manchester United. Will Man United still be in all the competitions that they're in? They play Sevilla this Thursday.
Injuries building up.
Injuries building up. If they win that, they'll have another game in between. I watched the a Man United fan's synopsis of the Villa Newcastle game, and he was really fair. And his big thing was, we need Villa are a problem. And we need to be worried about Villa when we play them because all the games piling up, and we can't take Villa for granted anymore. And he was very open and honest. And he said, 6 weeks ago we would have looked at that and said that's 3 points to keep us in the run for Champions League. But he's saying you can't pencil that in anymore. If Villa are a different team. And then you move on towards Wolves. Obviously, Wolves battling at the bottom of the league. They're going to need to get a few more points, obviously, to stave off relegation. And then you come to Spurs, who are a complete basket case at the moment. You don't know what you're going to get from Spurs. Their manager wasn't shaking hands with Bournemouth. There was a big with the Bournemouth managers. They lost they lost 3-2 to Bournemouth, and things just haven't been ticking along there right even before Conte went. Not to say that it's an easy win, but what I'm getting at here is that we have a viable pathway to winning these games because we're coherent, because we're a unit, we're on the crest of a wave. We've got momentum behind us, and we're coming up against teams that maybe don't have that same momentum that we have, because there's no other team in Europe that has the momentum that Aston Villa have at the moment, and we should drink it in.
No, I mean, no team will want to play us at the moment. Arsenal and Man City, who are going for the league, they'll be glad that they've already played us, I think. And he played us when we were a little bit in transition, really, under Emery, just after the transfer window had shut. I think we ended up playing both those teams. We are just cooking on gas. I mean, every player, I can't believe it's the same player that I'm watching from the start of the season. Buendia yesterday. He sometimes gives the ball away because he's always trying to play forward. I tell you what, the guy doesn't have to win the ball back. His pressing yesterday was ferocious. He didn't give Newcastle any time to breathe. I think the whole side didn't give Newcastle any time to breathe. We've said earlier, Dan Burn won't want to see John McGinn ever again after yesterday, and the centre-back certainly won't want to see Ollie Watkins ever again either. Yeah, we're just such a good team now. Such a good side. It's been years, probably since I was a child, and even then I probably didn't even understand football that well when Brian Little was the manager and John Gregory was the managers. But we were a decent team under Martin O'Neill, but it was quite basic 4-4-2 playing on the break. Let's face it. I've never seen a Villa team play like this. I've never ever seen a Villa team control games like this. Just for minute one, just a totally dominant side. It's scary, It was 1-0 for a long time yesterday, and I was a little bit concerned that Newcastle might score. And then you think you've got the second through Watkins, and it gets disallowed for a marginal offside, which is fine. He's offside. That's what VAR's there to do. I don't know whether you saw the clip of do you see Moreno's face when the goal got ruled out? Yeah. He's like you can see how much it means to all the players nowadays. But then 4 or 5 minutes later, we're 2-0 up, and Ollie Watkins has scored again. This team just goes again. We haven't scored. Goal's been disallowed. We go again. I didn't think we'd be able to play that tempo for 90 minutes yesterday. At half time, when it was 1-0, I thought, we've had a couple of other chances there. We could have done with a second. Could have perhaps got a second or third in that first half. I don't think we'll be able to keep that intensity up against Newcastle in the second half. But we did. The fitness levels from the players, why they pressed for 90 minutes in that game yesterday. We barely made a substitution through the game. Did we didn't make a sub to the last 10 minutes of the game?
And even at that, we like Unai Emery playing 5D chess, takes off our Jacob Ramsey midfielder, brings on Callum Chambers. Think of substitutions I probably wouldn't have taken out of my back pocket if I was the manager. Unai does it, 3-0 up. And, you're kind of going, okay, that's how professional he is. It's not that he was trying to see out the game. He did move Ashley Young a bit further forward, but it was a case of like, this guy needs to come out. I need to give a bit of a breather here. John Duran comes on the 90th minute, gets booked in the 92nd minute, which I thought was harsh, but we won't complain about it. But, they made all 5 subs trying to change up the game, brought in Miguel Moran. Still looked a small bit injured. He's coming back from injury. They said he came back really, really quickly. Thankfully, Callum Wilson didn't do his normal impression against Aston Villa and score. But
came on with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. I thought Callum Wilson yesterday pushed Conser as soon as he came on the pitch. He came on with a bit of an attitude. We've all done a podcast, mate. We've all had a podcast. Callum Wilson just came in with a massive chip on his shoulder. It was really, really strange. There's a fair few comments here. Christian Mawson and Tony Sparks. No, not Tony Sparks. Christian Mawson. Sorry, he's talking about Ashley Young. Cash injured at the moment. Ashley Young has played 4 games in about 10 days that he's played. The guy defies science. It's not logical. What we're seeing from Ashley Young, that should not be happening. I'm 37. I go on the peloton once and my knees are finished. My knees are killing me.
I've said it before.
How is he doing this? It's not right.
Ashley Young is 50-ish odd days younger than me. Like it's like that's it. It's always humbling, to think that and go, where did it all go wrong? Or where did it go right for Ashley?
It's not right. Fullbacks are a hard position to play. Arguably, fullback's the hardest position to play in modern football. You have to be so energetic up and down to play the 4 games in 10 days or whatever it is for Ashley Young. It is absolutely baffling.
And we hear people say, do you think that Southgate can ignore Ali or Mings? Can Southgate ignore Ashley Young? I'm facetious when I say that, but
I know you are. I mean, but you talk about Southgate. It was great that he was there yesterday because he can't leave Watkins and Mings out of the next squad. There's a shout for Conser as well. But I just thought Mings again yesterday. Conser's a bit more understated in the way he defends, I would say. That block from Tyrone Mings at 2-0, that stops a very nervy 10 minutes for Villa, because it would have been nervy, even though we've seen games out relatively comfortably in Emery's time. against Newcastle, a really good side, that would have made it a difficult last 10 minutes. I would think a block from Mings, even the way he goes in is a little bit strange, but it's a phenomenal block. That block's as good as a goal, in my opinion. Those two. We've probably, I think you're the same as me. We've always kind of defended Mings. I've said on the show a few times now, I was critical of Conser at the start of the season, but anyone we all criticised at the start of the season, because we've all done it as fans, you realise now that they're just under that tactical framework under Gerrard. They're playing within themselves. They didn't know what to do because there was no plan. Emery's given these players a platform and a plan, and has improved every single one of them. And again, because we were on telly yesterday, the whole country's stepping up and taking notice of what we're doing now. Emery's equalled the amount of games Steven Gerrard won as Aston Villa manager already. Again, that's not right now.
Yeah, you mentioned about Mings and Konsa there as well. I think every Aston Villa fan would probably think I won't speak for every Aston Villa fan. I speak for me. About 4 games ago, I realised Tyrone Mings had turned the corner, and the reason I realised was because I feel that, and I think it's probably right if you go back to it. I think the structure that's been brought, I think he's comfortable in structure. That's why when he goes on international duty, he's much better. He was very good for England. I won't say he's much better because he's had some really good games for Villa. He's had some games, okay, where he has had ricks. They haven't happened since Unai Emery has really come in, and that's what I'm talking about. The structure that he needs to be able to perform in sometimes is there at international level, because you come in, you're given a sheet and you're told, right, don't deviate from this, because they have less time to implement game planning and stuff like that. So I'm absolutely here for the Tyrone Mings love-in as well, because, a lot of other clubs, I would say absolutely every single club we've played under Unai Emery has turned around and said, when Tyrone Mings is in the team, you always have a chance. Tyrone Mings is crap. And that's the trap that people can fall. Yes, look, he might go out and he might have a rick against Brentford, but he's not been bad. He certainly has not been in any way, shape, or form bad under Unai Emery. If anything, the game has slowed down for him, and he looks way more comfortable. I see one or two people, I saw one person saying there that Konsa should commit to Portugal. An interesting one on that is, I read on, I can't remember who had it up. I think it could have been Villa Wiki and Twitter had it up, that Konsa needs his mum to declare Portuguese citizenship because she's from the Cape Verde Islands, I think. And then Konsa then needs to claim Portuguese citizenship. So it's not as easy as him being Portuguese. But I think that's probably his best route to playing international football, because I don't think that Southgate will look for a player like him. But we were critical of him at the start of the season. I think I did the Bournemouth game. If I didn't do the Bournemouth game with you, I did a game shortly after that.
Palace,
and the two of us were
Palace away, he struggled.
That might have been it. The two of us were like, maybe Konsa is beginning to, not be able to play. Or maybe the partnership has gone stale. But Unai Emery has come in and reignited that again. And he's been very, very, very good along with Tyrone Mings.
I'm absolutely loving just speaking about Villa at the moment. I'm fortunate that I get to do it quite a lot and do it for various companies and stuff. But honestly, we are an incredible football team at the moment. I can't tell you, and I haven't got the words for Unai Emery at the moment. We are so lucky to have had him, and give the board credit as well, because they messed up with Gerrard. They took too long to sack him, but my God, they've rectified it, because we've run it. I thought we have lost a year here, maybe even more, under Steven Gerrard. Yet somehow, I now feel like we're ahead of where we should be at the start of when the owners come in. It doesn't make sense. So we lost a year under Steven Gerrard, and then Emery comes in. I feel like we've gained 2-3 years, and we're now light years ahead of where we should be. It doesn't make sense.
It's like in Super Mario when you're going along, and next thing all of a sudden you go down one of those drains and you arrive out somewhere else miles further on in whatever planet or whatever it is. But yeah, you're right. It feels like we've gone into some sort of warp zone and shot ahead of ourselves. And I remember we were doing a podcast at the end of the transfer window in January. Myself and Paddy were doing the podcast, and Paddy was a bit upset about, we didn't buy and at that time he was saying, I don't think this league is all it's cracked up to be this year. I think there's an opportunity for us to get into the top half, and who knows about Europe. And I think if I was true to myself, I think my overarching feeling was that we needed a striker. In fact, actually, I think I said it. But it turns out we just needed structure. We needed a manager, and we needed like we can say what we want about all these players. And yes, they're playing fantastic, but there's a man at the helm that every single one of those guys believes in, and that's exactly like you can't put a price on the intangible factor that absolutely has. And we're going to sign players, and we may not get into Europe, but it's fun. It's fun, then. It's fun the way we are at the moment. And it's been a long time since it's been fun, save for the start of the 2020 season under Dean Smith and the 10-game run in the championship. It's been ups and downs. It's not been great fun being a Villa fan for a while. And as I say, everybody here should drink it in. And I'm going to go back to what I said at the very start of the podcast. I'm not here for fake rivalries with Newcastle, with Leeds. I want both us and Newcastle to qualify for Europe, because I want the Premier League to start churning teams around for it to become a fairer playing field. I want it to be a case where any team can shoot from the bottom of the league up to the top of the league with good structure and good management. That's the way the Premier League should be. And I for one, applaud Newcastle for the fantastic work they've done. I applaud them. I hope they get into Europe. I hope we get into Europe. I hope both of us get into the Champions League. But that's what I'm saying is that, the only way we can keep, I suppose, for a long period of time, we can keep the Premier League really interesting for all fans, is to have that churn in the top six. And as I said, we may be part of it this year. We may not be part of it this year. Brighton may be part of it this year. They may not be part of it this year. But it's fun. It's fun when we're in the mix, and long may it continue.
I'm not saying for 1 second we're going to get Champions League football. I'm not.
I know.
But the fact that it's even possible, we're in the conversation. We're definite dark horses and outsiders for it. But we are in the conversation to get top four. Again, I am not saying Aston Villa are going to finish in the top four, but for us to be in the conversation, for us to be anywhere near it, given the start that we had, the first 3 months of the season were absolute dog. It's painful. I've never lost my shit so much at a football match as I did at Fulham away. I was horrible. I was shouting all sorts at the manager because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was thinking this could be the worst Villa side ever here, and we went down on 17 points. But this team could be worse. This manager could be worse. But it was just that the players, they've gone from one extreme to the other with the management. Like I've said, I can't believe we sat here on April the 16th. Villa are in the top 6 of the Premier League, and we're actually sitting here saying, I can't rule out that Villa would get into the top 4 and get in the Champions League, because at the moment I feel like we can win every game, and the players must feel like that as well. Richard Edwards, who I notice in the live chat every single week, must watch every single Villa View show live, so thank you very much, Richard, for your support. He's saying about Watkins' contract extension ASAP. I think that'll happen this week. I think it'll be this week that'll get announced, and again it'll just be pure feel good. I think he would have got a new contract anyway. There's probably 20 grand extra a week or 30 grand extra a week on it now since his recent exploits. He's got no right to be scoring the amount of goals that he scored. He's got no right to be scoring more goals than Erling Haaland, who's playing in that juggernaut Manchester City side. I keep saying it about everything I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense now in a good way for us. Spurs were streets ahead of us when Conte lost his job, and everyone, they've been in crisis all season apparently. But that how many points were Spurs ahead of us when Conte lost his job? I would hate to think, but I'm looking at Spurs now. I watched the highlights of their game against Bournemouth, and I'm thinking, I think we can catch you, because they're on the decline. They've sacked a manager, albeit much later in the season. Got an assistant that's come in, and I agreed with Jermaine Genius on Match of the Day. You're doing the exact same thing that the other manager was doing. You haven't changed system. Yeah. You haven't changed the players. You're rolling out the exact same stuff that the old manager did that wasn't working, that the fans didn't like. Unai Emery, Spurs fans must have wished that they'd hired Unai Emery at this point. Imagine what he could have done and gone and done there with some of their players, because they've got some really good players at Spurs. But I look at Spurs at the moment and think we can catch you. I look at Brighton, who've been unbelievable this season. And I think we can fend you off and finish ahead of you. However good you are, and you are really good. We have to beat them. Yeah, of course we do. But I think I'm looking at it and thinking we can fend you off, and then that's fifth is certainly not out. Like fifth is certainly not out of the question. Fifth, sixth, it's there.
It is, and look, as you said, Dan, we're not puffing our chest out. We're not being cocky. We're not saying. And Dan, by the way, I just want to point out there, I think there was over 800 people watching this at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night. And that's just that's where the,
'Cause
the,
everyone
the
wants
beauty
it.
of
Everyone,
everybody wants this.
they'll be watching every pod from every channel.
Exactly. And we went directly after the game yesterday and we were saying that we were like, listen, find the most obscure Villa podcast you can get and listen to it, because this is what it's like to be a fan. And, we should all be sharing it together anyway. But what I was saying was that, we have to play these teams that are around us, like you said there. We're not saying that we're going to definitely finish in Europe. We could finish eighth for all we know. But as I said, it's fun at the moment. And the fact that is that it's in our hands, because we have to play Tottenham, we have to play Manchester United, we have to play Brighton, we have to play Liverpool, we have to play Brentford, we have to play Fulham. We have to play every single team that's below us from sixth. So we're sixth. We have to play this team in seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th this season. We also have to play the team in fifth, and we have to play the team in third. So that's what I'm saying. The fun part is
we've beaten some of these teams as well.
And that's the thing. We have a puncher's chance. Oh, it may not happen, but that's the beauty of it. All those teams are now looking at us going, "Oh crap! Look at their form. Look at the Villa form." Like,
can Adam actually get the fixtures back up again? Adam, get the fixtures back up again, please. Sorry. Brentford, we've beat.
Only Wolves.
Fulham, we've played when we were at our worst point of the entire season. Manchester United, we've beat. Wolves, we drew when we weren't really at our best. And Spurs, we've beat. So I don't look at that. I look at that there, and I don't fear it. As I've said, we may well lose one or two of those games, but I don't fear them. And even if we lose them, I now know that what Villa are doing is completely sustainable. You mentioned finishing eighth. We finish eighth, fine, because next season we'll go again, because what we've got now is completely sustainable. And under this manager, we have got a manager that fits this club to a T, a manager that completely knows what he's doing, a manager that has had success with clubs of our size in other countries. I said with Dave Reid on Friday, if we actually manage to get into Europe, discount the Champions League here, if we actually manage to get into the Europa League or the Europa Conference League, we'll automatically become one of the favourites, because the manager's done it on countless occasions. So if we can just get there, I think, right, we've got a chance of some silverware here.
Yeah. And absolutely, why not? And that's another thing that bodes in our favor. I read a great article as well today, and I will be honest, I don't remember where it was. I read tons of stuff today, but I read an article today that likened the tactics that Unai Emery played was the element of surprise, like he played when they beat Juventus 3-0 when he was with Villarreal.
Yes, it was like that.
And he said his big thing was where he said that this I can't remember who it was. I must go back and try and find it in my history. But the big thing was that he was saying that you've got a manager in Unai Emery now who can tailor his approach like a cup game for the next 7 games. And some will win, some will lose.
He did that yesterday.
Yeah,
Newcastle did not expect that start from Villa yesterday.
Hammer the right hand side. That's what he did. Hammered their right-hand side, dragged their defender, kept their left-hand side wide, played crossfield balls when they needed to, and let Watkins go in between the two centre halves and create havoc. That was a game plan that we haven't seen Villa do. Well, we've seen them do it in parts this year, but it was so pronounced. The way we went down that left-hand side at will, at times in the first half, was very, very pronounced, and in the second half as well. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he has in store, if there is a plan in store for Brentford. It may work, it may not work. But when we see when it works like it did yesterday, the whole of the English league is talking about Aston Villa's performance, and if they're not, they should be, because it was a really, really good performance.
You're right in what you say though, because I think the basic framework in terms of on and off the ball system, I don't think that deviates too much. In possession, you'll probably out of possession. Sorry, our plan doesn't change. Our possession, we're 4-4-2. The players who are the wide players like McGinn and Ramsey, they drop back in. They make it very tight and compact. One of them will drop in. The fullback shifts across. That I don't think that changes too much. But there was a unique plan yesterday against Newcastle, and again there'll be a unique plan against Brentford. Then there'll be another one against Fulham. How many fast starts have we had as well? There was Newcastle turned us round yesterday so that we faced the Holton in the first half. It used to really bother me. I don't care anymore. How many early goals have we scored in front of the Holton this season?
And it was a thing we were doing as a team. We were turning teams around to play against the whole den for a period of time on purpose.
How How many times have we gone 1-0 up in front of the whole end under Unai Emery? Stato
Yeah.
may well know, did see him in the comments. He wants to go to bed, but we've got him pumped up. He said, "How is he supposed to sleep?" I mean, let's get to before we go. Let's have a few questions. Let's get to ask us some
Yeah,
questions. So you got time for that now? You
I do.
probably want
I've
to go
got
to
all
bed
the time in
yourself.
the
You
world.
got yeah.
Sleep is
I want to go to
optional,
bed.
Dan. Sleep is optional.
I don't. If I go to bed now, I'll just be thinking about Unai Emery and Villa anyway. So we might as well answer some questions. So let's just spend the last 10 minutes or so.
I know I
Just
can't
answering some
sleep in the
questions.
morning. I'm going to have workmen beating down my door at about 8:15 in the morning. So I know I can't sleep in for work tomorrow. So I can stay up to whatever time you need.
Whoa, AVFC Stato, 10 goals in the first 15 minutes at home. Next best team has 6. How many
There you go.
records are we breaking at the moment? I tweeted earlier, John Gregory's probably set quite a lot of records for the start to a managerial tenure. Emery smashed every single one of them.
I think it was
Poor
Stato
John.
had it up to say that we are the most informed team in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, we will
Maybe
be.
I might have that wrong. Maybe in 2023, we might
Man
be the most
City
informed team.
maybe have got they're flying at the moment. They seem to be winning every week. Man City. I can't remember the last time they dropped points. It doesn't feel like it's happened too much in the recent months.
I think I might have read it somewhere in the last 18 games. Maybe are we in the 18 games Unai Emery has been at Aston Villa? I think we might have the most points accumulated or something. I keep on talking until I stumble upon something that even sounds vaguely right. Is what I'm going to keep doing. Last eight games. There we go. Last 8 games.
Yeah, we've only conceded 2 goals in 8 games, and one of them was such a questionable penalty. I don't even think it was a penalty in that West Ham game. It's absolute madness. Let's get some of these. They're coming in read too quickly for me to read. James King says Ashley Young contract. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I will say, I don't like to take the credit for things. Since I got that third shirt with Ashley Young at the back, which at the time he'd done absolutely nothing, to be fair, this season, the day or the 2 days after I bought that shirt, he came on against Manchester City and absolutely owned the place. Since then, he's never looked back. It's the only time I've ever got someone on the back of my shirt and they've improved. And I don't know why, and I still don't know why I did it. But yeah, absolutely. He's got to have a new contract. Actually, yeah, it probably was. Another year for Ashley Young is, I think it's got to be a dead cert, surely. Not only what he does on the pitch, but what he does in the dressing room as well. You have to keep him. It's a no-brainer. Rookie mistakes 06-07. We don't see any of them anymore from Villa. Says Emery possibly manager of the year. I think if we get Europe, I don't know, that's off the table.
Eddie Howe got it last year, and we have accumulated more points, I think, at that period of time than Newcastle did with Eddie Howe. But we have to finish strongly as well. We will have to finish strongly. I don't care whether he gets it or not. He's going to be my manager of the year but once again, it's something for him to put in his mantelpiece.
It's not out of the question that. If we get Europe, the head start that we gave all the teams above us and some of the managers that would have been mentioned for manager of the season. Thomas Frank's been mentioned as manager of the season at various points this year. I think Marco Silva has at times. They both kind of fell away a little bit.
If we break Brentford's 12-game non-losing streak, I think they had at one stage. Was a 12 or 13 game non-losing streak. Then who's to say? If Arsenal win it, Arteta's getting manager.
No, that doesn't look like today.
If Arsenal win it, that's what's going to happen. I think for sure.
Tom Coe saying about transfers. How different do you think the summer business is if we qualify for Europe versus if we finish without? I think the caliber of player you can attract changes, but I still think. I think Guendouzi will come regardless. I think if we wanted him in January, I don't see why that would change. I think he's another option who can play in that wide midfield role, but also play in the middle. He's played with Kamara before. He's worked with Emery before. He ticks a lot of boxes. Guendouzi's very good at pressing as well. He's young. So I think I would say that's a dead cert for the summer. Yeah. Whatever happens. Greg said on 1874, Villa will sign a centre forward. I think we'll sign someone who's an attacking player, but I'm not convinced that we'll sign someone you would say is a centre forward.
There's a guy that pops up in the comments of our shows, and he's a guy that comes in every so often, and he just disappears again. And he's come in about 4 times, and he said Villa have already signed a centre forward. He's not a big name, but he's somebody doing what Emery wanted, and it's not a massive deal. It's not a massive money or anything like that. He alluded to the fact it could potentially already be a free signing. I have no idea whether that's
Neil,
true
you
or
should
not.
know. Neil,
It's
you
all
know.
on the internet, okay?
If
Before
it's a
I
free
get
signing,
carried
if it's
away.
a free signing, I'd expect your transfer database to pick up a striker that's
I
on a
personally
Bosman.
think it could be Moussa Dembele from Lyon because there
Yeah,
was a lot of smoke without, and there is
yeah.
no smoke without further. I couldn't tell you whether that is the case or not. Do not hit me up with anything for this. It's a guy on the internet that put it in about 4 times into my stream, and then of course the mind went overactive one evening, and I was kind of trying to put two and two together with it. But I think that there's a striker. Basically, that's what I'm getting at. I think there's a striker will come in, and I think that you know that Unai Emery will be very much pieces for the jigsaw more so than splash the cash. Guendouzi will cost an awful lot of money. I think we'll get a good couple of signings, but we will get some more pace into the team as well. I could see us, as you said, those attacking players. We will sign definitely more than one attacking player this off season, I think for sure.
Yeah. Tony Sparks, can we break the 10-game streak? How many have we won in a row now? Is it 5?
8.
No, we haven't won 8 in a row. We drew.
Oh, sorry, we haven't lost in 8.
But
We've won 7.
The 10 wins. There was 10 wins in the championship, wasn't it?
We have 5 in a row, so then don't
we saw the 5 fixtures, didn't we? We will drop points at some point. It's not that 10 wins in the Premier League is in a row.
I think 10 unbeaten in the Premier League is better than 10 wins in the Championship.
Of course,
arguably.
Of course it is. I mean, to be fair, it wouldn't be in the Premier League if it wasn't for that run. That run was very important, and it came from absolutely nowhere, didn't it? Really, I think Jack Grealish had a lot to do with it, but it did come from absolutely nowhere. But there's no 10 unbeaten. I would say that's plausible at the moment. But I do think at some point we'll, at the very least, draw a game. He just can't. He can't keep going, can it? I want it to, and long term, I think what we're doing is sustainable. It's like this Watkins run at the moment. It feels like it'll be the making of him. Is he similar-ish? No, Vardy was probably a bit older. Remember when he scored like 11 games in a row or something and broke a Premier League record?
Vardy was
really
older.
The making of him.
He was north of 30, I think, when he did
Feels
that.
a bit similar this run though, doesn't it? Like it's gonna make him. This is him. He's so confident at the moment. The finishes he's got in his armory as well.
I could see him getting 18 goals this season. I don't think it was 7 games left and he's on 14. So that means he's to keep on going at one a clip realistically, you know. And we've got some big teams there. I could see him scoring 4 goals between now and the end of the season. Get 18 goals for an Aston Villa striker. That's really good going. This guy's only playing in his 4th year of being. This is his 4th year ever of being a striker.
It's also the first half of the season. He wasn't even really missing chances. He didn't have any.
Didn't have any. Yeah,
well, there was no chances coming, was there? At all. It's
He's tied with Julian Joachim now with goals. I think he's 39 goals. So he's halfway, just shy of halfway, or just over halfway to Gabby's 74 record.
Okay. Get there. Let's get there. 2-3 years. Let's do it, Ollie. Duncan Kilburn's got his transfer wish list. Guendouzi, Phillips, Barnes, and Turan. I'm not sure on Calvin Phillips, you know. I'm not sure that's one that we do. Is he 28, 29 now? Calvin Phillips got a bit lost at Manchester City. Do we even need Calvin Phillips? That sounds stupid. Douglas Luiz and Kamara.
We do. If you've an option to have Calvin Phillips, you take Calvin Phillips. I think. I think.
I wouldn't play him over. I wouldn't play him over Dougie or Kamara.
That's absolutely fine. Like our squad.
I'd rather Guendouzi, who can do both roles. I'd much rather that.
I look. We're not in a position to say not Calvin Phillips at all. I don't think. But I know what you're saying. I know. Look, the injuries would be a worry for any team.
And he's not the right age profile now. Either. John
Farry. If he wants to get out of the England squad, he'll move to Villa. That's the only way you get out of it. Like.
Yeah, you're better off staying at Man City if you want to be at the England squad, playing you 5 minutes here and there. That'll keep you involved. That'll definitely keep you involved. John Fari Photography, Newcastle fan, in the comments, fair play to him. Says, saw this in my recommend and thought I'd pop in. I'm a Turn fan. I do the graphics and thumbnails and mod for the Turn Review YouTube channel. And just thought I'd come and say fair play yesterday, lads. Be interested to know if John actually, because I think Newcastle were just shell-shocked by Villa in that first half. I don't think they were expecting Villa to come out. I'd like to know whether John, are we a better side than he thought we were? Was he worried before the game, or did did we play in a way that he expected us? Because I think a lot of Newcastle fans would have been surprised by that. Yes, I'm not saying they were belittling us or anything before the game. I think I was surprised by how intense we were
I was definitely
at the
surprised.
start of that game. Yeah, Ronan Ward, I'm not going to answer your question about the player of the season because we're going to do something with that in 1874 on Tuesday when Greg and myself, of course, I won't answer your question of who is the player of the season so far because I want to
Can
do a
I?
segment. Yeah, go on then now. Go on then.
I don't know. I don't know, Ronan. I probably, do you know what? You'd nearly have to give it to Dougie Louise, I think, at the minute. But like, there's a lot of arguments that can be made about a lot of players. Obviously, Ollie Watkins' form has just been outstanding. Emi Martinez has come back from the World Cup, man possessed after the Arsenal game. You know, everything has gone his way. Ashley Young has come in and really gotten us out of a tight spot whenever we needed him, Mr. Dependable. There's I'm probably ruining your podcast with Greg Evans now,
No,
but
we'll
Dan,
talk about it.
blink twice if you want me to shut up.
No, never want you to shut up. Now you can continue. I did a poll the other day, and the four I chose was Mings, Louise, Watkins, and Ashley Young. They were the four. Ashley Young's got a good chance of Clubman of the Year. I would say Clubman of the Year, and that's a banker for Ashley Young this year. That is an absolute banker. Scotty UK has got a little bit too excited, I think, and he's saying get Declan Rice. I mean, we could afford him. We have got the money, but Declan Rice is going to go. I would say Declan Rice is going to go to a team in the Champions League. You never know. You never know. No, Declan Rice isn't coming to Scotty UK. I think it's time for you to go to bed. But time for me to go to bed as well. Time for me to go to bed when I'm genuinely considering that and pondering it as an option. It's just not going to happen, is it? No, I think we'll call it a night. It's 11:25. There's 843 people watching at the moment, which is absolutely staggering. We thank you very much for the support. I did do a tweet earlier because I've been looking at the YouTube numbers and thinking they're quite low. Why are we doing better and the numbers are low? I didn't really understand it, but then Adam sent through this morning the stats across everything. So every week, to be fair, the output goes to a lot of places. I think being on Spotify, I think a lot of people have been watching and listening on that. You know, all in, we're averaging around 15k per video at the moment. Some of them are hitting nearer 20, so they're silly numbers, really. In my opinion, you know, especially when we get the tech wrong half the time, and we're always 15-20 minutes late for every show. So yeah, really appreciate people sticking with us. And those numbers, as I say, I'm very fortunate to be able to do some of the stuff that I do, and a lot of that has come because people have supported me on the Villa View, and I've gone on to do some really cool stuff that I could have never dreamed that I'd get to do. And when Villa are winning, it just makes it all worth it, because I was buzzing to come and speak to you tonight and early, even though it was 10:30, you know, the night before Monday. I was absolutely buzzing because I want to talk about Villa all the time at the moment. And as I say, I'll see Unai Emery in my dreams tonight. I'm sure you will as well.
Yeah, and it'll be a nice stream. It'll be a nice stream as well. Adam Sky says they're 833 and only 131 likes. That like button is very important. If you guys watch any YouTube video that you like, hit the like button.
Gotta like it. Does help, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Look, it's all
subscribers help as well.
We're in a world of algorithms, and we're in a world of things being pushed out. Look, as the Geordie fan that was there, John, said, you know, came up in his recommendations. I said on my own podcast, you know, find the Villa podcast you've never listened to before and give them a listen, because, you know, you may not agree with whatever we say on this podcast, you may not agree with everything, but when the good times are rolling, you know, you should really immerse yourselves in it, because we're Aston Villa, and we're all Aston Villa fans. We all have that common goal of you know, wanting the team to do well. So yeah, as I say, I'm the same. I've just gone on a massive binge of listening to Villa podcast today, and I really like it. You know, it's put me in good form. So the team is putting us in good form for a change. So why not immerse yourself in it?
I mean, we went out when you were over, didn't we? Me, you, Paddy, Max, and Simon from Villa on tour, and we've won 2 games since then. It was 9 days ago, and we've won 2 more games since then, and we're sitting 16th day. But we were talking, we were giddy with excitement on that night. Admittedly, a few beers had gone down, but you know, we were giddy with excitement that night. Talking, let's come to Dublin. Let's do something in Dublin. Let's put an event on and have a Villa drinking weekend, which we still might do. In fairness, but I do think it was a little bit the beer talking, wasn't it? But you know, at the moment, you just want to, you know, we qualify for Europe. We're doing it. We'll put an event on in Dublin. Come to Dublin, get the content creators on the plane together. We'll come to you, Neil, and we'll just have a massive party. And
Sounds good to me.
I'm in the realms of at the moment. If Villa get Europe, I'll get an Unai Emery tattoo. I mean, I am in those realms at the moment. Honestly, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Who would have thought 6 months ago that we'd be coming on these shows and feel this way? I just never ever expect, even in my wildest dreams of when Emery came in. And I told this story on Talksport the other day, actually, so I'll tell it quickly before we go. My barber, who actually cuts Millie Ednack's hair and does Millie Ednack's beard, so he's responsible for one of the best beards that's ever been seen, not even just in football, but just in life. When Unai Emery came in, he made a bet with the other two lads that were there, are Blues fans. And he said straight away, before we'd even played a game, he made a bet that Villa would qualify for Europe with them. And he said, if they don't, I'll get a Birmingham City tattoo. It was as soon as Unai Emery came in, he made that bet.
Who did? Jedinak or Emery?
No, not Jedinak. My barber. My barber's made that bet. So if Villa don't get Europe, he has to get a Birmingham City tattoo.
This season?
Yeah, he was just that confident that Villa would make Europe.
Palsy.
As soon as we got Unai Emery, he said, "This is what Unai Emery does." Straight away.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I thought Unai Emery came into your barber and made that, because someone did have a comment in under there. What should Unai do about his hair? I would like to see it tidied up. And I was going, this is next level segue from the professional Dan Bardell there.
Unai Emery, do what you like with your hair.
I love it.
Just do what you like, Unai Emery. You can do no wrong. Yes. As far as I'm concerned. What a guy. What a manager. Already
to get into Europe, he has to wear an Alice band. Throw back to Juan Pablo Angel. Yeah. That's what he's got to do.
Yeah, let's go now, because we could talk about all kinds of stuff here. Do our reputations no favour whatsoever. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Really, really great. So many people. I mean, the chat comes through to me, so I can try and incorporate some stuff in the show. It moves too fast for me. I haven't got the skills. To incorporate and answer everything and talk about everything that people say. But love that everyone's enjoying the content at the moment. Love that everyone's enjoying supporting the club that we all love so much at the moment as well. Because these times are rare. We've had enough bad times. When it's exciting and it's good, we should enjoy it. Because
I agree.
It's deserved, and this is what it's about. We've all got that common love of a football club, and we should embrace it and we should enjoy it. And even if we don't get Europe, I think we should still just take this time as a success, because we know under this manager, good times will come. So yeah, thank you to everyone who's joined in. Thanks to Neil for joining me. Thanks to Adam for producing so late, probably seething that we've gone for an hour, because he probably wanted to go to bed. So thanks to Adam as well. Greg and myself will be back for 1874 on Tuesday. Please like the video if you have enjoyed it. Leave us a comment as well, and yeah, subscribe with your post notifications on, because all those things, like Neil says, they really, really can. Go and subscribe to Neil's channel as well, for the love of Paul McGrath, and watch all his videos when they come out as well, please. Have a good rest half an hour of the day, and up the Villa.